I had many thoughts about Joker, and I saw the movie and I was surprised. There were some surprising elements, but overall, I gotta down it. Straight out. I'm just gonna tell you. I'm not even gonna preface the whole thing. What the hell was it that I saw? Was to me one of the most off the wall, bizarre character studies. If it's Joker or Taxi Driver, or it was to me not what I wanted or expected of Joker, and I was highly, highly, highly not satisfied.
Okay, I'm gonna reverse engineer this movie because I didn't even say anything.
I know, but you know,
you just said you're down on it. I can't reverse engineer how they could decide to make a movie like this.
Yeah,
well, obviously, besides the Joker being, one of the most popular characters, why wouldn't he get a solo film?
But this is not the movie I think a lot of people are expecting. This is the descent into madness of a psychotic, murdering killer, and who's mentally ill, and we know Joker is psychotic.
But he's not. No,
to this degree.
He's a person who becomes detached, and it's not necessarily what the Joker was. Because the Joker was just a straight up killer, and then he was a maniac.
Yeah.
And then in the movies, he became a force of nature. But if you look at what they tried to do, ultimately there's the Killing Joke and there's the Dark Knight. And
you think so?
Well, in this movie, because in this movie he's a comedian.
Yes.
In the Killing Joke, he's a comedian.
Yes.
So that bit is borrowed from and you can borrow because it's from the same company.
So
that's
give
fine.
a little brief synopsis. So he was a comedian, and he descends into.
He's actually a clown. He's a clown that
right.
some sort of business that sort of sells out clowns for different events.
Rents them out.
For for people, the kids that are
party
clown. That's the one good scene. There's one good scene when the clown goes to the hospital. That is like the best scene in the movie.
Oh, and I give correct. Joaquin
does a greater performance than what's there. Yes.
I'm disturbed by the whole performance, but the man believes in this crowd. This is a dude who gets into character. Lost 50 pounds?
50
into
pounds.
Character. You actually believe he is the character he is. But the question is, do you like this? You don't like this character. You don't like the story. Continue. Sorry about that.
The synopsis is that he has one job. He has the idea that he could be a stand-up. He has some mental issues because he's seeing.
Some?
No, because we always know that he's been in the hospital. He's been
medicated.
He's taking medication, and ultimately it leads to trying to say, hey, they took away his medication, when that necessarily doesn't happen.
Well, they stopped giving him the.
But why would you
not able to take the medication? I think they closed down the thing.
I guess it's in was it supposed to be in the 70s or 80s?
80s.
So then, okay, maybe that's where they could have canceled his actual benefits and whatnot. But basically, at the same time, they show someone that's delusional, that he has these delusions that leads to the insanity. But these things happen to him, and when these things happen to
people are pressing him, kicking his ass.
These things are happening to him, and then he wants revenge. So it's almost a Hollywood eye for an eye thing that's in like every movie. So it's no different than watching, like Miss 45 or Death Wish.
What about that movie with Michael Douglas?
Yeah, it's like that.
Down.
It's like Falling Down.
Falling Down at least is a
No,
man.
Falling Down was not good. That was not good.
Falling Down.
That was not good.
Can I at least say something?
Yeah?
Okay.
That was not.
Look, at least Falling Down had a man you can identify with.
I couldn't identify with him.
Who was frustrated.
He had a bad day because he couldn't get his Egg McMuffin.
Oh my gosh. Yes, you
he couldn't get his breakfast.
He couldn't get his breakfast
at lunchtime.
It just happened.
My dude, go to a diner.
It was all life. At least I could identify with Michael Douglas. There was nothing.
So you're saying that at some point in your life, when you don't get your Egg McMuffin at lunchtime, well, now you can, because you so crazy that you can now go to McDonald's and get your breakfast. You know where you're going to go? You're going to go to Burger King or Wendy's.
I'm not a breakfastarian. I do not believe in having breakfast after.
So then that's the thing. You can't relate to him.
No, I can relate.
He can't relate to him.
I can relate to the frustration that he has about certain things. And
Will
I can
you
see
take
that.
out this
But
on the
I
people
can't-
you
the
work
Jo-
with?
Well, going back to the Joker, was Alex Fleck, I think his name is? It's like I can't relate to him. He is just so out there.
I can't
He's just so
relate.
crazy and maniacal. The things he does is like it's all.
Stupid.
But what we're trying, the director is trying to make us feel that oh, this is all sorry and sad for this guy for what actually people have picked on him because he's had certain type of mental illness. And we know that's happened to people, no denying, and no one should get picked on or bullied or harmed. And because he didn't get his medication, the state is at fault because they cut off his benefits. But I didn't feel that this guy was, first of all, does not represent the Jokers that I read growing up. I didn't feel that.
There's two scenes that are, as I said, the Killing Joke, and as you said, you're right. I'm sorry for cutting you off. The Joker that you grew up with is way different than the Killing Joker and the Dark Knight, because the Dark Knight and this scene is in the movie where the Dark Knight goes on a talk show, when the Joker goes on a talk show, he's interviewed. There's a doctor that's next to him. He interacts like they have that sort of scene,
Right.
But ultimately, it's sort of a takeoff. There's a couple movies that it's pulling from, and it's obviously people go to Taxi Driver, but Taxi Driver was just a guy who was crazy. He was just crazy in a crazy world, and he was just waiting for his moment to do something crazy,
Something to turn
right?
off. Right.
So he was already crazy. This Joker is a guy who's had some bad knocks, and his mother has these issues, and his mother's been lying to him, and his mother's delusional, and the delusion bred true into him. So he's a mess, and ultimately he wants payback. Like every Death Wish, Die Hard, is someone paying back something.
Falling
that's like that.
down.
Every one of those is no difference than those sort of movies. Miss 45 is just like those movies, but it's taken from another movie. So you got King of Comedy. If you want to go in Paul Schrader and that old aspect of what's the name of Taxi Driver, but it has one movie
What
which
movie?
has almost every beat in this film.
And what movie is that?
That movie is Precious by Lee Daniels.
Didn't you
The
just bring
lo-
up Precious again in just another movie?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I think you
I think
did.
we talked about this as we do. We prep ourselves and we have a talk about the show. And I used my
today.
bit. Yes, we did. We talked about it days before. Now
I
he's
don't think
saying
Precious
he
has-
remembers something I said, and he said I used Precious for another discussion when the discussion was the prep for this show.
Actually, I think it was the review of the video of the trailer. So you're right. So
So why wouldn't I use it now?
I'm just saying. I was hoping you wouldn't.
Precious has seen where, just like when Joker gets knocked down by some neighborhood kids, Precious gets knocked down by some neighborhood
Everybody
kids.
gets knocked down by a neighborhood kid.
Not in does Bruce Willis get knocked down in Die Hard by some neighborhood kids? All right, so let's
He gets
move
pressed
on.
by people from the neighborhood. Oh my God.
He has on a sign about black people, and that's why they push him down. It's he's put in a place to do something wrong, and then the people in the neighborhood react to that.
Exactly.
In this movie, Precious does nothing besides being big. There's her on a train her on a bus ride, like almost shot. It's a shot for shot difference. But what does Precious do? Precious has a baby. She's been sexually molested. The mother actually has the face makeup. Monique
All right,
actually has the face
we're
makeup.
not doing a review of Precious, so I got it.
Every part of Precious is in this Joker movie.
I cannot see.
And
it.
Precious rises beyond that, and she finds the strength to move on. So Precious is stronger than the Joker.
More power to you, but I don't think people wanted to see the Joker rise up here. They wanted to see him rise up and
No,
and
but saying
bring everything
you're
down. But
and she has these delusions where she imagines herself as a performer, like she's this performer and whatnot, and she has this light-skinned boyfriend and all this other stuff. Same like Joker. Joker believes he's doing the comedy and everybody loves him.
And has a
It's a
girl-
shot for shot. Yes, has a thank you.
Zazie Beetz.
Thank
Who
you.
wasn't she?
She was Domino.
She
So-
was being underutilized. She was totally underutilized in this role.
But she's a part of she's supposed to be a part of the delusion.
Yeah,
so
but I'm
she
just
goes
saying.
into that. So that's the thing.
No, but I'm
It's
just
a
saying-
shot for shot thing of Precious.
Okay.
And the problem with Hollywood is like deciding that, you know what, we're gonna do Precious with a mix of King of Comedy, which was De Niro. So De Niro's probably seems to be
I
playing.
actually like the De Niro in the film.
De Niro
As the
was
newscaster.
hilarious,
Uh,
and I wish the Joker had a little more humor to him too.
You know what? I kind of agree with you shockingly about that part.
Yes,
Because I thought as the Joker, the
Mm-hmm.
comedian, as the party clown, he was not good at all. I'm like, what company would hire
Yes.
this guy as a party clown to begin with? You know, he looks so sad to begin with. And then you have, when he tried to do the comedy strip, which was horrible to begin with, but,
Yeah.
you know, he really wasn't. So you're right. The
Oh, I was
delusion
gonna say that.
on his
Say
head.
that again about his comedy.
The stick was horrible.
You got that right, as De Niro said.
But what happened to De Niro was
The thing is that when you look at The Dark Knight, even though it's not that greatest scene when he goes to David Letterman, he kisses Ruth, Dr. Ruth, she gets the Joker smile, right?
Right.
And then the whole audience has that. He's done his first major thing, and it's very theatrical. They have a very theatrical scene with the Joker being there talking to De Niro's character, and ultimately it's just it's the smallest. But I mean, for the movie they're making, yes, but then it doesn't say Joker.
I know.
And that's what we were looking for. That's where our critique is more
and I
saying
guess-
that it's not
And it's a little
Joker.
biased
but
because we are holding him with the baggage of the Joker, and he's saying this
of
guy,
coolness.
Yes, but
The baggage of what's cool and this being more mundane.
Yes, and so we've seen the Joker. I just saw the Harley Quinn cartoon show, and it has the Joker with her interactions with the Joker in that particular 30-minute cartoon. And I thought the depiction of the Joker as really not caring about Harley Quinn, really not just out for himself, him able to seduce her and bring her back to even when she knows he hates her or he doesn't come to get her. I don't want to give you the review of that. I'll give it to you later. But the very fact that Joker is believable, he's maniacal, he's crazy, but at the same time, he wants certain things. He has a desire. This guy, I felt at the end, he's been beaten down so low. The Joker over there stands tall. This one, even when he gets up and fights back, you find it's just a reaction as opposed to where the Joker, like you said, he's a force of nature. He's making things happen. This guy's having things happen to him. And I just, again, I'm not saying I'm just not the type of movie that I was expecting, nor was it the type of movie that I would be interested in watching. But there was one aspect of the movie that I did find interesting, and this was the Thomas Wayne angle of the movie. And
That's unlike any Thomas Wayne we've seen, where he's just. I mean, it was an interesting bit to see how far they were going to go with it. I was glad that. But sorry, what were you going to say about
no, but
it?
I'm saying so. Thomas Wayne is into this. I think he's the mayor, right?
He's trying to become mayor.
Right. So, and he's one of the richest
Oh,
people there. So you have this whole dichotomy through the haves and have-nots, and people rioting because there's not enough money or whatever. But the very fact that you have Thomas Wayne, and there's a connection between him and the Joker, or a delusional connection where I think there's a point where you're thinking it's not real and some of it isn't. But the impact that has on him, because some people, they want to attach themselves to famous people or powerful people and say, that's who I am, or this is what I should be, and I haven't gotten what I should have gotten because of this is what I should. And this is a common throw. You see this in history where people, in history and in literature where people are like, hey, oh, this is my birthright, and I was denied this, and I should have had this, or this is what I should have received. And I thought that was an interesting concept there, and one of the things that helped to push him to the edge. But
I think that was
would have
also
been better if they would have explored that a little longer.
I think it's harder because it sort of gave reason to had the Joker create Batman, but at the same time it was like payback for when the Fleck character is accosting Thomas Wayne in the bathroom, and he's trying to explain that's not the case, and he's wrong, but then ultimately Thomas Wayne complains. The theatrical, the bigger part of it is that Joker has effect on the world, like Bernie Getz. Like Bernie Getz had this moment in
That's
a lot
the
of
subway shooter who went to Subway and shot
people, and it was like the
three
thing is
brothers.
like he probably
Not
Bernie
robbed him, we don't know.
Bernie Getz was robbed before this,
Right.
and this time he was waiting for people to come,
And he
and
resolved it.
when they came up to him, he started blasting. So, and the people, the way the climate was, people sort of understood Bernie Getz, but at the same time, it was how far do you let it go before you decide to become a vigilante? do you let them ask for your money and then you pull out the gun? It's like, yeah.
Well, that's
Bernie
what they call
Getz
now
was
the
like the
South
Punisher. He was
Africa.
like, hey, they could have, or they might be, and he took them out.
Well, now they're calling it the stand the ground law. So if he was,
That's
this was
don't bring up the standard in your ground law, because it's basically a basic conflict, meaning like a shoot the fair one, but it's like, no, since we know that probably the chance you getting beat up, you can use your gun, and it's a one-sided law.
It is a one-sided law. If you think you're
No,
right,
it's not. No, it's not a one-sided law of you. It's a one-sided law where it's
You explain why you shot
where
people.
white people are saying that they were bothered and then they were in this, so they retaliated. You can't. It's not a thing. There was a black woman that in her house had someone come in there and she shot the person, her husband, and then they gave her 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not a law. It's a law that's they haven't figured out.
Selectively used.
Yes. So you can't. I don't even want to bring up that, because Bernie gets a crime is a crime, and it wouldn't allow. And I'm not for. The thing is, New York back then was a rough thing. Robbery and that stuff happened, or being accosted, like what you see in this Joker movie.
And that's why you had to look tough, because if not, people would try to take advantage of you.
I know, but at the same time, there's a lot of women. The thing is, women talk about their purses being stolen back then. My mother lived in Harlem, moved back to Harlem in like 83 or 82 or something like that. And she talks about I think the last time she was robbed, she had a cart and this guy was trying to grab something, and she had the cart in between him, and he was trying to get there in the vestibule, sort of fighting where she was just pushing the cart. So he just like, forget it, just grabbing the bag and running. So, the part of in the same instance, my father talked about when we moved back to Brooklyn, people taking his amplifier. And that used to be the big thing of having an amplifier in your stereo system. And he had it the people broken into his house, because he lived upstairs in the apartment.
Notice he called it house.
Because we're from, this not, F you. The part of it thinking your home, it's a generalization of what you feel is your home, right? So in this home, we lived in different apartments of that. My father had the upstairs, we were downstairs.
As you were saying, the amplifier?
So the amplifier was taken at least 2 or 3 times, but I think the second time my father was in the shower. The guy came in, took it, my father comes out the shower, no amplifier. He looks down the fire escape, sees the guy. Father comes with the robe, runs down the block. The guy is halfway down the block. My father's running. He's what? Probably late 20s, maybe he was 20, maybe early 30s. But he's a robe, no clothes on, chasing this guy. The guy is slowing down because he got this amplifier. So somewhere in the 90s, the guy decided to not deal with the conflict of being, stopped or jumped with the amplifier. He put the amplifier down and ran away.
He ran all the way from the 50s to the 90s?
So my father had to catch up to him.
True. Butt naked?
Well, he had the towel. He had the towel. He had the robe on.
Flashing the whole neighborhood?
I don't know if he got it tied, but if you're running and you got that, unless it's really tight, it's but that's a part of being.
That's a crazy story.
It's funny though.
That is so nuts.
But
we totally digress.
No, but I'm saying these things happen. These things happen, and you have to. You don't. Then it does, unless you're crazy. These say the next person that comes in, I'm going to kill them, right? You're going to call the police. You're going to do this stuff and that. And the Joker to me borrowed too much from Precious and tried to do too much of King of Comedy, of where De Niro's character is now the success, joking about the nobody, finding the next thing that would be, that took a moment that way things used to be viral, where someone would take, because there's actually, and I'm gonna go off topic a little bit. There's a hint in comic books where this happened, where Jack Kirby, he was connected to this company that was making these 3D glasses. It was 3D on regular television that didn't work. but it was a big scam that say, buy these 3D glasses, you can watch the Loch Ness Monster and it'll be in 3D. So a lot of kids were buying them and you couldn't see the 3D, it didn't actually work. So Johnny Carson put on some of those glasses, but he had the wrong glasses. He had it from a 3D comic Jack Kirby did. So he thought they were connected to the Loch Ness Monster thing. So he came out there and everyone was laughing because everyone knew about this craze on WPIX about the 3D TV stuff. And he looked at it and he was like, Kirby, king of comics. And he didn't know any comic that was named Kirby. So he's like, he must be the king of con men. And this actually, because it was a viral event, and this was like Kirby, it was like almost a cut to the gut to Kirby. And it really, like, he was depressed, even more so because he was struggling where he felt that where Marvel was and what was going on with him. This was just another thing that happened. And ultimately, this didn't lead him to become the Joker. His former assistant, Mark Evanier, because he did Garfield, the cartoon Garfield, he had some connections to television. He got in contact with Johnny Carson's people. Johnny Carson's people said, oh, we've heard, we didn't plan on doing anything negative, so we'll talk about it. And Johnny Carson did a retraction on his show.
Did you invite him to the show?
No, he just said it was a misunderstanding.
He should have been there.
But the thing is, no, he wasn't big enough to bring on TV because no one would understand.
If you're apologizing to somebody, you could have brought him back.
He could have, but I'm saying the whole point of the mix-up, he said that it was a mix-up. He didn't bring Kirby on in the first place.
Okay, got it. So we're moving on to the Joker again, okay?
That is the part of it, because it's like they're using these moments to say, this is a moment in Johnny Carson's history that went viral on something. They pulled out something that was small, and it went viral to a small extent.
And so that's what you're talking about in terms of Joker, where because
where Murray took a moment,
kept on playing that again and again, but it actually on the opposite went, like you said, went viral, made him popular, and so you had a whole audience of people who were
didn't make him popular, made him someone that they made fun of. He thought that he
Right.
was going to get on there and do his comedy,
No, but
and they
I'm
would
saying-
like his comedy.
But you had all the people who started wearing the Joker faces and stuff like that, who started.
But that was
identifying-
that wasn't because of the Murray thing.
I think it helped with the Murray, the constant him playing it again.
Those two things didn't connect.
Okay, so I guess I must have missed.
They sort of said the clown killed the yuppies on the train.
Yes.
And then that went went viral, of a lack of a better term, that people were copying, doing criminal mischief.
But then they also did the afterwards. He did it. Remember the whole riot
No,
afterwards?
the riot was already happening. He came on and no one knew he was going to appear as Joker.
Oh, okay.
But they were already having this moment. That's what I'm saying. Do you want to go out there while this is going on out in the streets? Because he wasn't,
No, you're right.
Thomas
right,
Maine was becoming mayor. So they had this big demonstration. Like, what's the movie? V for Vendetta. It's like nothing new.
Very
There's nothing
similar. You're
new.
right. I didn't even think of that one.
All of these bits
But
pull from everything.
Here it is, the key thing. The one thing
There's no key thing. They pull from everything
The
possible.
reason I've had a problem with the movie also is that, critics see tons of movies, right? And so when they see something that's different, they just laud it and say, hey.
This is not different.
No, I'm just trying to say for them in terms of the Joker, it's like, they're like, oh, one of the greatest comic. It's not. Okay? I think you're going to be disappointed if you're coming in with that. If you're coming in, this is a case study on a character and his descent into madness or reaction to the madness, this is this.